Okay, your live stream is ready, Mary.
Good morning, members of PopTech, Population Technical Advisory Committee. This meeting is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking questions. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form. MAG staff can assist with any questions you may have. If you have parked in the garage, a validation stamp is available on the counter. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff, and we will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all of our members. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to say your name or jurisdiction. Let me know if you were here or not. Bryant Powell, Apache Junction. Anybody from Apache Junction? Beloka Belazamo, ADOT.
Here.
Hello?
Yes. Did you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm here. Yes.
You heard me call your name, of course. Cole Hunger or anyone from Avondale?
I'm here. Cole Hunger for Avondale.
Oh, hi, Cole. Stacy Bridge Denzak, Carefree.
I'm present.
Stephen Perales or anyone from Cave Creek? Sam Andrea, Chandler?
Here.
Jose Macias, El Mirage?
Present.
Victor Cantu, Florence?
Present.
Farhad Tavasoli or anyone from Fountain Hills? Keith Newman, Gilbert?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Farhad. I'm present.
Hey, Farhad.
Hi.
Keith, your turn.
Yes, I am present. Thank you.
Alex Lerma or anyone from Glendale? Christian Williams, Goodyear?
Present.
Randy Proch, Litchfield Park?
I am here.
Rudy Lopez or anyone from City of Maricopa? Rachel Applegate or anyone from Maricopa County? Kelly Rorix, Mesa?
Present.
Brandon McMahon, Paradise Valley?
Present.
Sarah Dirks, Peoria?
Present.
Emily Dawson, Phoenix?
Present.
Tara Harmon, Pinal County?
Present.
Sarah Clark, Queen Creek? Sarah Clark, Queen Creek, going once. Going twice. Your name is present. Anyone from Salt River, Pima, Maricopa Indian Community? Nick Carroll, Scottsdale?
Present.
Lloyd Abrams, Surprise? Present. Jacob Payne, Tempe?
Present.
Anish Adhikari or anyone from Valley Metro? D. McGarry, Wickenburg? Gregory Arrington, Youngtown? And we're going to jump back. Anyone from Maricopa County? Adam Cannon is present. And I'm getting a message that Nick from Apache Junction is joining as well. Anyone I didn't name or anybody who wasn't able to respond when I called their name? Okay, Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Scott. Our next item is call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience unless chair requests an exception to this limit. I have not received any requests to speak for the call to the audience.
We have not received any requests, Madam Chair.
The MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. Staff, have we received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
We have not, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Our next item is approval of the meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have questions? Hearing none, prior to the approval of the meeting minutes, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have received no requests for this item.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Have we received any online written comments for
We
this
have-
item?
We have not.
Is there a motion to approve agenda item number 3?
Brandon McMahon, Paradise Valley. I so move.
We have a motion from,
Adam Cannon made the first motion. We'll give it to him, and we need a second.
do we have a second?
Jacob Payne, City of Tempe. I'll second that.
Jacob Payne, thank you.
Okay, we will have those participating in the meeting online take part in a voice. Oh, do you need to do?
Is the thing about turning on your cameras?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Take part in a voice vote by turning on their cameras and unmuting their audio. We need to see the faces of everyone to participate in the voice vote. For those who cannot or do not want to turn on their cameras, staff will conduct a roll call vote. Staff will only call on those virtual participants who did not turn on their camera. Members, please leave your cameras on until after the roll call vote so that staff can count the people's names whose cameras are not on. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor?
Give them a second to turn on their cameras,
Okay.
please. Okay. We want to try something for somebody. Okay, let's go. Okay.
Okay. Can I have a voice vote of those in the room and those online? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay. Thank you. Members, please leave your cameras on. Staff, can you take roll call of the members participating virtually who have not turned on their camera?
Nick Carroll,
Aye.
Sarah Clark. Let the record show Sarah Clark emailed me saying she is having trouble unmuting at the moment, but she is in attendance and we will figure out how to get her vote. Victor Cantu.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Okay, agenda item number 3 has been approved and passed. Okay. Looks like our agenda number 4 item is Phoenix General Plan 2025. And it looks like this item will be tabled for a future meeting and will not be heard today. Is that correct? Okay, we're going to proceed to agenda item number 5. Okay, and this is noted as SunCloud. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Brian Rubin, Transportation Planner for the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, members of the PopTac Committee. My name's Brian Rubin. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm a transportation planner here with MAG, and today we're going to talk about the SunCloud Data Portal. All right, so for today's presentation, I'll give a bit of a background on the tool itself and some of the data layers, and then I will go ahead and attempt to do a live demo for everybody. Okay, so what is the SunCloud? The SunCloud is an accelerated innovation deployment grant project that was originally awarded in 2017. Project really didn't begin in earnest until 2018, as there were a number of agreements to get in place. ADOT, MAG, and its numerous partners were awarded $1 million to develop a data portal to increase and improve the accessibility, usability, and quality of data and analytical tools. The goal of the project was to get a better understanding of the needs in the corridor and align policies and strategic investments. The program was built on top of AZGeo, which is the State Land Department's ArcGIS online instance. For our project, the Sun Corridor refers to 5 counties in southern Arizona: Maricopa, Pinal, Pima, Santa Cruz, and Cochise. Those counties cover a bit more than 30,000 square miles of land and somewhere in the neighborhood of 85% of the state's population. So we brought together a robust team of stakeholders that included all of the MPOs and COGs in the region. We had county agencies and, of course, our partners at ADOT and FHWA. For this project, we pulled together 22 regional data layers for the tool, including data for asset condition, travel demand, travel counts, and reliability, just to name a few. I'd like to briefly focus on 2 of the layers that we created. First up, I'd like to highlight our safety layer. Using Highway Safety Manual predictive methodology, we went beyond simple crash rate and injury rates and produced data showing the difference between expected crashes and predicted crashes. This type of data allows us to quickly identify those segments and junctions that have high potential for affecting change in safety outcomes. So not just how many crashes were there, but how many crashes were we expecting for this type of facility? What did we actually see? And then we kind of measure the delta between those. Next, I'd like to highlight our pavement condition layer. This was not our first foray into pavement condition here in the MAG region. Starting about 6 or 7 years ago, we were doing a project called the Arterial Bridge Needs Assessment, and we worked together with all of our member agencies here in the MAG region to put together an arterial pavement condition layer. We basically reached out to each agency and asked for the data that they had specifically collected. And as you might imagine, we have agencies that collect things different ways. We've got PCI, we've got PCR, we've got some really sophisticated methods out driving LiDAR trucks. And then we've got some people who are just on a 1 through 5, good through excellent rating. So to bring these all together, we went through a largely academic exercise to kind of crosswalk them together. And eventually we were able to create a table so that we could use all of these different inputs the same. But in order to do that, we really had to give up a lot of the granularity that we get with the individual pavement condition metrics, which wasn't ideal. Basically, we were left with good, fair, poor. So for this project, we decided to go a different route, partnered with a company called Naira Dynamics and their road health program. And what they're able to do is give us an average roughness in IRI for the entire SunCloud data portal area. What's really good and unique about these data sets is that it's consistent methodology. It's collected the same way across the entire region. It's recent data that we limited to the past year that when we brought it in, and it's comprehensive. Like I said, it covers every roadway that we wanted to look at, arterial and above, through the entire region. So it was really the first time that we were bringing together likely data collected in the same way for the entire region to show kind of arterial pavement condition. The platform, sorry about that. The platform was designed for maximum flexibility, but also for ease of use. So we've tried to incorporate many common and useful tools. You can easily switch symbolization between commonly used attributes for each individual layer. You can filter the data by attributes or geography to drill down into what you're looking for. You can print maps for inclusion reports and emails. And finally, you can directly export the data for further analysis in the software of your choice. We also wanted to build some custom scoring. We recognize that within our disparate agencies, priorities aren't always the same, right? So what's important for Phoenix for one thing might not be the same as Apache Junction or our friends in Queen Creek. So we created a tool that allowed you to individually weight our scoring layers to come up with a scoring mechanism that works best for your agency and what you're looking to do. All right, next, I am going to attempt to do a live demo for everyone, so bear with me for just a moment. Okay, so what you see now is the landing page for the SunCloud data platform. Here you can see a lot of the background information on the project itself, some of the benefits that we were trying to provide, instructions on accessing the portal itself, instructions for using the portal, a bunch of screenshots, and then we've got lots of other information buried deep into the page. We'll go ahead and move to the tool itself now. And what you see here is the landing page when you go to the SunCloud Explorer itself. I'll go ahead and toggle off pavement roughness and turn on SunCloud performance scores. And what you see here is a composite score using all of our scored layers, which you can see below in the menu using our default weighting mechanism that we came up with. If we want, we can do that to look at individual normalized scores for each of these individual data layers. If we wanted to look at injury rate, apologies. If we wanted to look at daily delay, we can do that. Or again, we can look at the composite score for all of them. But if we want to look at the raw values from the individual data layers that we've hosted, we can do that as well. So for this example, I'm going to turn pavement roughness on. And now when you zoom in, you can see pavement roughness in IRI for all of these segments in the MAG and SunCloud region. You can additionally click on any of these line segments and relevant information will pull up. You see the average IRI, because that's what we're looking at in this case on Riggs Road. If we wanted to do this down in Coolidge, we could do the same. Here on Coolidge Avenue, we've got an IRI of 152.7. So this is great to view all the data, but let's say we want to focus in and just look at the worst areas of pavement roughness. What we can do is go over to our filters tab and we can filter by attributes. Then we're going to go ahead and go to pavement roughness here. And let's say we just want to look at the worst two categories. So let's look at those with an IRI of 300 or above. Go ahead and set that and turn it on. And now what we've done is automatically filtered out all of those low IRI segments. So you can really zoom in and see just those segments that have the 300 or above, or what we would consider our most poorly rated pavement in the region. Again, you can go ahead and click on any of these individual links and the roadways will pop up. So that way you can do some kind of custom analysis if you're looking to hunt down something specific in your member agency. We can do this with all of our scored or all of our other layers. If we wanted to look at bridge condition, travel demand, we can do any of that. So I'll go ahead and turn this off. And I will go back to our performance scores. And now something else I wanted to mention. If you go to our scoring tab, this is where we can enter the custom scoring or custom weighting if you wanted to do a bespoke analysis. So currently when you go into this page, you'll see all the default weights that we have that are currently applied to get our composite scores. Now, let's say for your agency, you are looking at, you want to focus solely on serious injuries and you want to look at delay. So what we can do is go ahead and turn up serious and fatal injuries, bicycle and pedestrian fatal injuries, and we can lock them in place. Let's give them both about 35%. And then we can put up, daily delay to the maximum amount. Everything else should go down to 0. And then what we can go ahead and do is rescore this entire network based on the new weights that we just put in. So if you go ahead and hit the rescore button, it'll take a moment and you'll see the updated network kind of flash across the screen. And now what you're looking at is the composite scores for just the custom weights for the different criteria that we were looking for. If you want to toggle back and forth between what your change to the weighting convention did, it's easy to do that. We can just go to hide and it'll go back to what the default scoring criteria are. And then once you do this sort of analysis, you can go ahead and export the results in any format you want. You can download a GeoJSON, you can download a CSV file, you can download Excel, and all of the raw data that went into any of these data layers is available through our tool. So if you wanted to pull down the GIS layer for any of these, you can go back over to layers, you can click on the information button, and that'll automatically pop out the hosted layer on the web service. And then you can go ahead and open it into a map viewer. You can go ahead and copy the URL and paste it into an ArcGIS Pro instance, bring it offline, do whatever you want. This is freely available information. Members of the public can see it as well. There are no restrictions to using this data whatsoever. So it's a really cool tool to be able to kind of dive in specifically for criteria that may matter to a particular agency and really take that next step to kind of dive in and see what's happening on the ground and how you might be able to affect some change. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my presentation now. Okay. All right, so the first question I usually get asked is, what comes next? I am happy to announce that ADOT and MAG have been awarded a second aid development grant for another $1 million. We just signed our IGA with ADOT and we're working on getting our RFP and our MOUs done. But essentially what we'll be doing over the next 3 to 4 years is updating all of these layers and expanding statewide. So we're no longer going to be limited to the 5-county Sun Corridor area, but we'll be expanding to the entire state of Arizona. In addition to updating these data sets, we're also going to be producing 3 new data layers for scoring relating to asset degradation, resilience, and bicycle and pedestrian volumes. Wanted to go ahead and leave you with a few links today as well, if you'd like to go and look into these after this meeting. We've got the main site and the info site, and we also have a 75-minute training video recorded during a live training with our partners, where we walk through each aspect of the tool. You really dig into the nitty-gritty, and it really explains everything really well. And then finally, if you're really looking for that gold star, we've hosted the entire code repository on Bitbucket. All of our code is available for use as well. None of this is behind a paywall or anything like that. Since this was a federal aid grant, all of it is publicly available. So if you would like, you can go and grab that code and you can take it and run with it and create your own SoundCloud for yourself. If you do that, please let me know, because I would love to see what you guys create. That largely ends my presentation, but I am happy to take any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Brian. Do any members have questions or comments? Hearing none.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Brian, as far as the grant goes, that pays for the ability to update it. What are you going to do in the future? What's the plan for the future of how to keep that current? Because the data is valuable but it's only as valuable if we can keep it updated on a yearly basis.
Yeah, that's a great question, Chair, members of PopTech. Right now, we are in our RFP and in the scope of work. Once we get to the consultant-led portion of the project, we will be updating the data layers twice. Once kind of as we bring them in and expand statewide, and then again at the end of the project. As a part of the RFP, we will be asking our consultant to produce updates schedules. So cost of updates, the recommended schedule for updating. Some of these data layers we want to update every year. Some of them once every 3 to 5 years is more than sufficient. And the level of effort created to, level of effort needed to incorporate these updates. We're always looking to maintain this and going forward. Through the grant, we'll be able to do that over the next 3 to 4 years. And then we'll definitely be looking for ways to keep this relevant going forward into the future, especially if a lot of people use it and start to like it.
Thank you. Are there any other members that have comments or questions?
Yes, this is Baluka from ADOT. My question has to do with the data source. In your presentation, I saw for Naira Dynamics, it was written WIJO 2023. Well, I'm just wondering, are you guys using WIJO data? Because WIJO data, as you know, it went bankrupt. So that company went bankrupt. Can you please provide some explanation? Thank you.
Baloka, chair, members of the PopTech, excellent question. I must have accidentally grabbed an old image when I was putting this presentation together. So we originally contacted with WIJO, who has unfortunately gone out of business since we started this. They sold this product to Naira. So that's who we contracted with going forward, Naira and the Road Health Program, which basically carried forward the work that WIJO was doing in the past. So they're both technically accurate. We did get data from WIJO originally, but we'll be using Naira going forward. And with the latest update that we had on the previous iteration, they'll be who we're partnering with going forward for future updates. But it's the same data collected the same way. It's just kind of packaged under a different umbrella now.
Thank you, Brian. Any other members?
Madam Chair, before we leave this one, I just wanted to mention this. There's a ton of stuff that Brian didn't even get into. There's a lot of information on here. It's an amazing tool, and I know most of the people on the committee are planners and not necessarily transportation planners. So this might not be as relevant to you. But what we hope is when we bring these things to PopTech, you can take it back to your jurisdictions and share it with the people who would benefit the most from it. So your engineering and public works departments probably. If you have transportation planners on your team and they don't know about this, they really need to. And so please share it with them and give them Brian's contact information if they have questions. So we wanted to make sure you guys saw this, but we want you to make sure you share it with all your friends and family and everybody you meet on the street.
Thank you, Scott. Item number 5, no action required. This was only for information and discussion. So we're going to go ahead and move along to agenda number 6, legislative update. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Scott Welkin, our Data Advisory Program Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had talked about wanting to get an update on bills in the legislature that are of interest to the committee members. And I contacted a couple of legislative experts to get them to come, and none of them were available. So you get me. So I've got a list here of things that I can update you on as best I can. We can discuss them if you have questions. I don't have a presentation or anything. I just have a list here that I'll read some stuff. But I think I can start with the big one that I think you all have heard of, Senate Bill 1229, which is called the Starter Home Bill. This is probably the reason that we couldn't get anybody from the league to come to this meeting, because they're in heavy negotiations with the legislature on this bill. This would have a huge change to single family zoning across the state. And the latest information I heard on this was that it has passed the Senate. It's still in the House, but there is not very much support in rural Arizona, and what I was told. And there are concerns about how it would affect cities and towns' general plans. And so there's a lot up in the air about this one. I don't know where this is going to land, if anything. And if it gets out of the House, there's no word on what the governor would do with it, if she'd sign it or veto it. But this is the one. If you haven't heard of 1229 and you're a planner who especially deals with zoning, single family zoning, this is one that you want to be tracking. And it's changing all the time. There's probably updates that I don't even have because they've started since we started this meeting half an hour ago. Any questions on that one? I know I don't have a whole lot, but seriously, it's changing every couple hours.
It's Scott, what was the number again?
1229.
Thank you.
The next one is House Bill 2110. This is which one is this? This is a kind of a cleanup to the adaptive reuse bill that passed last year. What I was told is it wasn't controversial at all. It passed, was signed by the governor. There were a few issues, some technical issues they needed to clean up from that adaptive reuse bill from last year, but this one didn't seem like a big deal. Again, that's 2110, the cleanup for the adaptive reuse. The next one I have is House Bill 2928. Again, House Bill 2928. This one, most of you probably don't care about this, but Adam and Tara, this would adapt the accessory dwelling units that passed for cities and towns last year to unincorporated areas. And it's largely the same as that. It has passed the House. It's still in the Senate. It hasn't made it too terribly far, but that one still has life in it. It may end up passing. House Bill 2722. This is one of the economic development tools restrictions bills. This one would limit public funds for economic development purposes, and it would allow the attorney general or any taxpayer to sue if they think that that's been violated. This one has passed the House, still in the Senate, and based on what happened with the next one I'm going to tell you about, seems unlikely the governor would sign it if it passes, but that's still to be determined. The other economic development tool restriction is Senate Bill 1050, which would place a lot of restrictions on GIPLETs. That one was vetoed by the governor. So it seems likely that if the other one passes the Senate, that it would not get past her desk. Any questions on either of those? Okay. Senate Bill 1353. Senate Bill 1353. This one would apply to municipalities of 30,000 or more. This has time restrictions on approving or responding to building permits, single-family building permits. And if they are not approved, conditionally approved, or responded to asking for more information, basically comments, within 15 working days of submittal, it would allow for a third party to review it instead of the municipality. And then there's a lot of language about how a third party would qualify for that kind of review, things like that. So if you get if this passes, it's passed the Senate, moving through the House. If this does get signed by the governor, then it would be another basically another shot clock on applications to go along with a number of other ones that you guys have been dealing with. So keep an eye on that. 1353 for development reviews if you are in a municipality of 30,000 or more. Any questions on that one? Okay, a couple more. Senate Bill 1529. This one is for pre-approved home designs. It has 4 different categories. Single family, they would apply in single family districts is the category 1 or class 1. Class 2 is single family districts that allow duplexes. Class 3 is single family districts that allow triplexes. And then class 4 is accessory dwelling units. If this passes, it would require municipalities to have 3 different elevations on file for each of those 4 classes. So 3 for class 1, 3 different single family, 3 different elevation and floor plans for single family units ranging from 800 square feet to 2,000 square feet. And then similarly, 3 different duplex plans that are 400 square feet to 1,000 square feet. The next one is triplexes, 400 square feet to 1,000 square feet. And then accessory dwelling unit plans that would be at least 200 square feet, 600 square feet, and 1,000 square feet. And basically those would be on file and somebody could come and get them and use them and get a very quick building permit without having to go through an architect or engineering firm or anything like that. It would be off the shelf canned building permit plans. This has passed the Senate. It's in the House. It doesn't look like it's gone very far, and I have not heard anything about what its prospects are in the House or what its prospects are on the governor's desk. But that one would be one, if you're in planning, you'd want to track. That's 1529 for the pre-approved home designs. 1543, which nobody cares about except for Scottsdale, the Exxon bill. That one is signed by the governor. And then House Bill 2447. This is the one that I sent out a poll late last week. This one is kind of a sequel to a bill that passed last year that allowed cities and towns to remove certain development applications from city council approval. The biggest ones were preliminary plats and final plats, which a lot of places were still taking to council. So last year when the bill passed and was signed, it allowed you to change your laws so you could do those administratively. And this bill, which was signed by the governor a few weeks ago, now requires you to approve those administratively. And so, like I said, I sent out a survey asking, this was at the request of Scottsdale. They wanted to see what other places are doing and how they're responding to this. And the big questions were, does your community currently authorize administrative personnel to approve these certain types of plans? Across the board, most of the places that I heard back from said yes on site plans. Development plans was kind of mixed, but I guess it kind of depends on what your definition of development plan is versus site plan. And land divisions, lot lines, lot ties, those are almost uniformly yes. You can do those administratively. And then preliminary plats and final plats. Most of the preliminary plats were yes. There were a couple of no's in there. Final plats were more of a mixed bag. So those are going to be things that you're going to have to amend in the next 8 months, I think. I think it goes into effect at the end of the year. Plat amendments, a couple of them were no, the council needs to approve those, but there were a lot of yeses there. So thank you to everybody who responded to that poll. I've got a spreadsheet where I've been collecting all the responses. And once I got a couple more this morning, once I get those added in and cleaned up, I can send it out to the whole committee so you can compare notes on what everybody's doing. And then later on this year, we can talk about more about how people are responding to that bill if that is something people want to do.
Scott, if I may ask, did you say that 2447, the bill you were just talking about, that did get passed?
Yeah, passed and signed.
And signed, okay.
It will go into effect.
Thank you.
So get ready to start approving final plats if you're not already. That's all I had on my list. Are there other questions?
So Scott, on that last bill, the other thing it affects is the engineering side because it allows for preliminary submittal to then allow a developer to go at risk, which I think has other complications and other issues associated with each jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lloyd. That we didn't get into that in the poll that I sent out, but that's definitely something that your engineering plan review folks are going to need to be aware of. Other questions or comments? Any other bills that I didn't list? Or a lot of them. But if there's anything that anybody's interested in, I would be happy to do some more research and let you know what I can find out later on.
Hey, Scott, I do have a question on the 2447 one about the final plats.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see what other cities are doing about, because final plats are usually required, they usually have easements and land of dedication for right-of-ways, which usually have to be signed by the mayor and council. I just want to see what other cities are doing with those types of situations. Are they going to be approved by staff and not go to council at all, or are they going to be accepted by council and just approved by staff?
I'm guessing now they're going to be approved by staff and then just sent to the mayor for signature. But you guys who are doing that,
Yeah. So surprise, it's just signed by the city engineer, and the community development director doesn't even go back to the mayor, and then it gets recorded. So we'll see how it goes from there. But we've just done 2 just recently. So.
So then the mayor just signs it, I guess? Is that what you're saying, Lloyd?
So in our case, no, it doesn't go to the mayor. It's just like any other plat. It gets done by administrative. So city engineer signs it, and at the moment, I sign it. But I think it's going to be left up to each jurisdiction of whether or not they review it administratively and just take it to the mayor for signature, or how they decide to do it.
Okay.
Adjusted the code to basically state that community development director and city engineer signs the plats.
Okay.
Related ordinances to accept right of way later.
So
separate from that.
So if there's a dedication of right of way or easement through a separate instrument, that'll go to council and then to mayor for acceptance.
Okay.
Or
That makes
approval.
sense.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
This is Jacob with Tempe. I kind of wanted to circle back to HB 2110, the cleanup on the adaptive reuse. So since that's a change to one that a lot of us have already adopted ordinances to, I kind of wanted to get a feel for what everybody's going to be thinking about with doing for that. I think the big change that I noticed that might impact the way that we've written the ordinance is that originally that bill was about buildings, obsolete buildings. And now it's relating to parcels, which might affect the count, and then based on that, the 10% that we have to allow for the reuse. So we're kind of in our minds trying to figure out what that might look like, and if we do need to go back and change the ordinance we've already adopted. So just kind of wanted to get a pulse on what everyone else was anticipating that might look like for them.
Anybody dealing with that yet? I know it just got signed. Well, this may be something we need to revisit. I don't know if anybody has looked into this yet. It's still, the ink's still pretty fresh on it.
Scott, I think the League of Cities had done some on that, so it might be good to reach out to them and see what they put together.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Thanks.
Hey, Scott, and one more question for El Mirage. Which is the one that has EDUs for the county and unincorporated areas?
That was 2928 that for so Adam gets to approve accessory dwelling units in the future.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of give you guys that to kind of speak, is El Mirage is kind of like a no man's land because we don't meet the 75,000 population, so we don't have to follow state statutes. So I'm curious to see what the rural one's going to look like because it might skip us again as well.
Well, yeah, this one is not for cities and towns, so this particular doesn't apply to you at all.
Yeah, I know. So we're just kind of limbo right now. I don't know if I don't know whether the city is under 75,000. Besides maybe Guadalupe or something.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head what the limits on counties are, but I'm guessing our two counties are big enough to qualify for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
One more question. This is Jacob again with Tempe. This is probably for you, Scott, if you have the bills in front of you. But the pre-approved designs for the duplex, triplex ADUs and the single family homes, is there a date that would come into effect? And I'm wondering, since the middle housing one is going to start next year, if we need to kind of have in preparation for that also in tandem these pre-approved plans.
Yes, great question, Jacob. And I didn't write that down. The 4 classes had different timings on them. And I can send that to everybody after the meeting. Some of them were January 1, 26, and some of them are January 1, 27. And I forget which one was which, but I think the single family one is next year. Duplex and triplex maybe the year after, but I'll write that up and send an email this afternoon to everybody to clarify.
Great. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Scott. And I'll just ask one more time. Do any of the members have questions or comments? Okay. No action required for this agenda item, just for information and discussion only. So we'll go ahead and proceed to agenda item number 7, future PopTech agenda items. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be led by Scott Wilkin, our Data Advisory Program Manager. Turning it over.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not done yet. So those of you who have been on the committee for a while know that for one of the big purposes of the committee is to review the long-range socioeconomic projections every 3 to 4 years, and then end up voting on those before they go through the MAG approval process, or to start the MAG approval process, really. And then every year we also bring you the annual population estimates for July 1 each year, and that starts that approval process. In addition to those things, we have traditionally brought a lot of projects that MAG's Regional Analytics Division has been producing. You might remember the housing updates, daytime population. We usually bring the analysis of the employer database, a number of things like that. And we've been doing that over the years, and we end up having 3, 4, 5 meetings a year with that kind of content, plus those major projects that we do on a regular basis. With the Regional Analytics Division no longer existing at MAG, some of these projects have been discontinued, and there's still a need for this committee to exist, mostly for the projections review, for estimates review, and outside of the meetings, we rely on you for a lot of data validation and collection and distribution, things like that. So the committee's still going to exist. What I wanted to do was have a discussion about what we could add to these meetings to make it more valuable for you, so we don't end up just meeting once a year for just estimates. That doesn't seem like an ideal use of a committee. So I wanted to see if there are some ideas that that people have that we could start scheduling on the agendas, and not to have a ton of meetings. I never want to have a meeting just to have a meeting, which is why most of them get canceled. But I'd like to, if there is value, I'd like to be able to put enough things on an agenda to meet 3 or 4 times a year. One of the big things we used to do a long time ago was have members bring their general plan updates, and so our first item was going to be one of those, and then the Phoenix had to cancel at the last minute. So we'll do that again in the future. But if there's interest in more of that, we can definitely schedule those. People are doing general plans quite often. I'll continue doing legislative updates as there's stuff that we want to talk about. And occasionally we can get somebody from the Census Bureau to present, probably remotely, as long as there's still people at the Census Bureau. But if there is anything else that you think would be valuable, that would be of interest to the committee, the committee, again, is mostly people in planning departments, but there's some other interests as well. So just wanted to open it up and let people suggest things we can at least start thinking about to add onto these agendas. So anybody who has any thoughts, let me know. And if you don't want to speak in the meeting, you can email me later.
So I think, Scott, maybe some of the new changes in technologies that cities then have to quickly adapt to, some of that might be going on. I know Kristen and I and Buckeye have been working with a lot of inquiries into the battery energy storage, and everybody has a different perception of what that is against, even experience one that, had an incident that we had to react to. So I think topics along those lines that we can get out in front of the industry and start setting standards may help everybody in the future. This way they can't play one city against another, and sort of break down those lines, and we can cohesively come up with some halfway decent standards that protect the residents. And then
Best practices on that kind of stuff, yeah.
Another thought, because every city has different opportunities and as well as constraints, is on that housing study that everybody has to yearly come back. If we could collectively work together and paint the picture of the valley as a whole of trying to accomplish that affordability and shortage of housing, I think it'll change the perception of legislature to where we have more of a say in what happens in the future. Because right now, I don't think anybody looks at that. And in Surprise's case, I've got a number of different man-made features. I've got Luke Air Force Base, and I got an auxiliary field. All those provide constraints on housing and how to adapt and manage that. So I think, looking at it from a holistic point versus pointing fingers at one jurisdiction of not doing something or another would benefit the state as well as the region here tremendously.
So great ideas. I know the league is really kind of taking the lead on that second thing you mentioned, but and so I think there's a limit to what we can do here, but there definitely is an opportunity to share some best practices on at least how you're compiling the information for those reports, and if there are problems that are common to other jurisdictions, we can definitely talk about that to a degree. Other ideas?
I'm on board with, getting updates from the various communities about their general plan efforts. So keep that on the agenda. I'd like to know what the other communities are doing as well. So, and I agree completely with Lloyd. He has great ideas. We should all share them.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan. Anyone online? What would you tune in for? Okay, well, like I said, if you have other ideas, please feel free to email me. If something comes up that you think would be of interest to the rest of the committee, let me know, and we can put that on an agenda. Or if there's something that you're trying to find out, I think the 2447 poll that I did the other day is a great example. I in addition to PopTech, I also staff the MAG Building Codes Committee, and that's something that I do probably every couple of months, where a building official will send me a question of how everybody else is interpreting something. I'll just send it out to the committees and gather all that stuff. So if there's ever a question like that you want to find out how other people are dealing with something or interpreting something or whatever, I'm happy to send that out and compile that and let everybody know what the results are. That's another great use of this committee, and as needed, we can talk about them in a larger setting as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. That agenda item was for information and discussion only. So we will go ahead and proceed to the agenda item number 8, the PopTech Vice Chair recruitment. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Scott Wilkin.
Scott show continues. This will be real quick. Our vice chair has had to step down. And as you probably, a lot of you know, traditionally this committee has had city and town managers as chair and vice chair going back almost 40 years. And I'm probably even farther back than that. The early 80s is as old as I can find any information on this committee. And it's been useful to have members of MAG Management Committee who have ties to PopTech when we bring the estimates and projections through the approval process. But we think that it's less needed these days, and so we're sunsetting that practice. And so for the new vice chair, we're going to open it up to anybody, any member who is interested. What that would entail is becoming the vice chair for the remainder of this calendar year to fill the rest of the current term, and then becoming chair starting January 1 next year for 2 years. And at that time, then we appoint a new vice chair. It's not a very big time commitment. Like I said, I'm hoping to do 3 or 4 meetings a year. Next year, we may have an additional meeting or 2 because of the projection cycle. But we would need the chair. We need the chair and sometimes the vice chair to come and run the meeting. And for that, we provide a chair agenda, which is basically a script and you just have to read the words. And Andrea is doing a fantastic job reading what I wrote. So hopefully she can attest that it is very easy to run a meeting. I try to make it as easy as possible. So if you have questions or any interest at all, please let me know. And we're gonna, as soon as we get some people interested in it, we'll put it on the MAG Executive Committee agenda for somebody to be appointed the new vice chair, and then we will go from there. Any questions right now?
Okay, hearing none. And thank you, Scott. We appreciate everything you do for us. We're going to go ahead and proceed to agenda item number 9, which is our last agenda item. So comments from the committee. So are there any comments or announcements from the membership? Anyone here at the table or online?
This is Baloka Belizamur from Arizona Department of Transportation. This is my first time attending this meeting. It's because our data integrity manager, Tracy Clark, he won't be able to continue attending the meeting. So I would like just quickly to introduce myself. So I have been with ADOT for now 15 years. Prior to that, I was with MAG for about 5 years. So I'm happy to be joining you in this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome back. And I think we have a
Yes,
hand
Randy?
up.
Hi. The City of Litchfield Park is still recruiting for a plant engineer. So if you or anyone you know is interested in joining our little city of 7,000 residents who are all of a certain age, a certain love of golf and the palm trees, come on out. We'd be happy to have you.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, so I think that ends our meeting. So the next meeting of the Population Technical Advisory Committee will be on Tuesday, May 27th at 10 a.m. And with no further business, today's meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.